there's players that are kind of overrated because they don't get that. Like one player for me, Julius Randle. This is a guy that was a consensus top 40 pick, and we were picking him a lot because of his points, rebounds, and assists. But one area, he's not a great efficiency player, but he doesn't get you those stocks. He doesn't get you over a block a game. He's not getting you over a steal a game. He's a high turnover guy. And so when you talk about a player who's outside of the top 150, you know, when you're drafting this guy to be one of the elite players for your team, the hogs for your team, it sucks when you're not able to get that production. And bringing OG Anunoby in, it's like, I don't really see the upside for him to finish this season as even a top 75 player. So Julius Randle has kind of gone from like underrated, kind of disrespected, to now in the fantasy community, I think we overvalue what he's able to do on a week in, week out basis.
Yeah, I feel like I would still take that ranking that looks awful and use that to my advantage to get somebody that puts numbers on the board. Like the one thing that Julius Randle does is he gets counting stats, whether it's points, rebounds, the assists. Yeah, the defensive numbers aren't really there, but I mean, he can give me 20 and 12 any given night, and I'll take that. And for how much Tom Thibodeau plays the Knicks starters, and he's the number 2 option now that, you know, RJ Barrett's clearly out the way. They got OG Anunoby's more of a defensive guy. Like, I feel like this whole offense is Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. So he may be overrated in terms of the fact that you drafted him in like the 5th round, but I feel like he's still a very productive fantasy player. In points leagues, I love Julius Randle. So he's in a little bit of a slump. I'm not worried about it. I'm more worried about Mikal Bridges. And yeah, this dude just went off for 30 points. So you're probably looking at me like I'm crazy, but I feel like fantasy managers are drafting him in the 2nd round. And, you know, this is off of the strength of him averaging 26 points a game as a member of the Brooklyn Nets last year. He's not coming close to that this year. The Nets are terrible. And I think his plays is kind of going along with it. And, you know, he's only averaging like 21 points this year. The rebounds and the assists are pretty comparable to years past, but the stocks are down. If Mikal Bridges isn't giving you the stocks or the efficiency that he has in the past, he's overrated.
Yeah, it's tough playing for an organization that's not winning basketball games, and, you know, coming off of Olympic, you know, being out there for the Olympics, it's like you want to play winning basketball, meaningful basketball, and this Brooklyn Nets team getting Knicks cheers at home, it's a bad fit overall. And like you mentioned, this is a guy we depended on for those stocks. Like, that's why you go get Mikal Bridges, and if you're not providing that, for me, like that's kind of a sign of like, hey, you're a little overrated in my book now. So hopefully there's a chance for him to right the ship, but I just don't see it. It would take a major move, I think, on the Nets' part to either get some you know, players that are competitive, or maybe it's a ship out on his end. But it's looking like a lost season for Mikal Bridges, unfortunately.
Yeah, him and Cam Johnson both struggling. Curious to see what the Nets do at the deadline, because they're at that point where it's like they're not really in the position to win, but they're also like not trying to sell assets.
Right.
So we'll see what they do. Thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't already, man, join a fantasy basketball team. You can download the Yahoo Fantasy app or go to yahoofantasy.com. Get entered to win a $100 e-gift card to spend at NBA.com. Why not? It's free, and you get to play some fantasy hoops. So do that. We'll see you next week on Get to the Points.